But if you liked this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all of that. And oh, damn it, I was so close. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with May's TBR. So today we are here to pick everything that we are going to be reading in May, and I'm excited because I do have some reading plans, like some readathons that I'm participating in. Like there's a historical romance readathon that's going to be taking place in like the first full week of the month, and then I've got a vlog idea that is going to be taking place later in the month. But beyond that, I don't have any kind of crazy reading plans beyond like regular buddy reads and things like that. So as I said at the beginning of last month's video, if you saw the chaos that was that situation, we're not even going to take punishments this month because I've changed my rules around a little bit as far as like how often you can pull something out of the TBR basket, just a tad, and I just want to start from scratch because we've kind of gotten crazy. So hopefully the basket she'll be nicer to me this month, fingers crossed, because it was just ridiculous and I'd like to have a nice clean month. But I'm just gonna get right into the rolls. I'm not even gonna talk about last month because we're not taking any punishments over the 5 or 6 books that I didn't quite read, but I rearranged my everything. So if you'd like to see like details on all of that, feel free to check out all of the vlogs I did last month for the Magical Readathon. But without any further ado, let's get into the first pick. All right, pick number 1. Here we go. All right, read a book with a one-word title. So pick number 1 is to read a book with a one-word title, which is perfect because I need to fit in The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. So this is I'm counting the X Talk as like one word because there's like a dash. And so this is a rom-com of sorts where 2 people get on a radio show. It's been a while since I've looked at the synopsis of this, but 2 people are on a radio show, and I think they make everyone believe that they're actually together, and they're not. They actually hate each other in real life. So this is an arc that I got like way back, a long time ago. Like when it came out, I got an arc on NetGalley, and I just was never able to actually get around to it. But I did read one of this author's other work, The Weather Girl, a couple of months ago, and I have a couple of friends, actually the girls that I read the Tessa Dare books with, that really enjoy her writing. So we're gonna end up buddy reading this at the beginning of the month, and I'm very excited. So I've plopped this on here for one word, and I'm quite excited. A good rom-com. Prompt number 2. Alrighty. Pick 2 books for each prompt. Are you kidding me? So the basket has revolted. I spoke too soon. So instead of 8 books, we're gonna have 16 books. Again, we'll see how this goes. If it goes insanely well, then we're not going to worry about it. If it doesn't, we're just going to start from scratch again next month. Like, I want to go back to being calm again. Like, what happened this year? Hello, Editing Kelsey here. So when I filmed this video initially, the book that I picked for this second spot, I thought it was a nonfiction book. I was going to film my nonfiction, thing where I was trying to read one nonfiction every single month, and I didn't do enough research into actually fiction. So I've done a little bit more digging, and I'm actually instead going to read Karamo, which is a non-fiction book written by Karamo Brown, also narrated by him. I've got it on Audible. I'm very excited. He is one of the 5 hosts, maybe, new humans from the new Queer Eye that's came out a few years ago. And this is his memoir. I love Queer Eye. I'm very excited about diving into him a little bit more. I've also got the like narration or audiobook for Tan, who is also on that show. I just think they're so fun. So I'd love to read all of the memoirs by then that I can. But I do actually already have this one on Audible. I bought it quite a while ago and completely forgot about it. But it's one word title and it fits the nonfiction prompt. So I'm actually doing this one instead. Try again at pick number 2. Read a historical fiction. Oh, I can do that. The next one is to read a historical fiction. So I've cheated the tiniest bit because both books I've picked for this are historical romances, though I would still consider that to be like a historical fiction. The first one being my Tessa Dare buddy read. So we're going to be starting a brand new trilogy because we finished out Spindle Cove series last month, and so we've got Goddess of the Hunt, and this is the first in the Dairy Maids trilogy. I want to say that's what it's called. I think also this was her debut trilogy, because it says here on the back, exciting new author, which makes me believe that we're now, like, we've gotten back so far that we're reading her first books. So this follows our main character Lucy, who's decided that she is ready for a husband, but she needs to kind of like hone her seduction skills to actually like catch a husband. So she decides to try it out on her brother's best friend, the Earl of Kindle, to like hone these skills and just kind of practice on him, and then I think their flirtation grows beyond that. So I'm excited to dive into more of her stuff. We'll see what her earlier books are like, but that's a historical romance fiction that I'm going to read. And then I'm also, for this prompt, going to pick up the third in the Mallory series, Gentle Rogue by Joanna Lindsey. So this one follows James Mallory, which is one of my favorite characters from the Mallory series. I've read the first 2. My favorite uncles in this series are James and Anthony's story was the second book. So James is a pirate of sorts. He likes to be on the sea, and there's this woman that catches his eye, and she ends up coming aboard disguised as a boy, hoping to get away, I think, from some dangerous past, and he immediately knows that it's her, and I think shenanigans are going to ensue, but this is like a piratey feeling on the sea romance, and I'm excited. So hopefully I'll be able to fit both of these into the historical romance readathon as well. I think I should be able to, no problem, but I'm excited. Number 3. Here we go. Read a book not set in the US. Alright, the next one is a book not set in the US. So for this one, the first book I'm going to pick for that is the next volume of Dreaming Sun, Volume 8 by Ichigo Takano. I'm not entirely sure where this is set, but I'm pretty sure it's in Korea somewhere. This is a series I've talked about a lot on this channel. This is just the next installment in it, but it follows our main character Shimana, who basically runs away from home in the first book because she doesn't feel loved, runs to this man in the park, and he's like, hey, I've got a room for you to rent pretty cheaply, just like have a dream and fall in love in life, that's all I ask. And she's like, okay, so she moves in, and a couple of the other people who live there are boys that go to her school, and it's like a found family of sorts. I don't know where we're going to go from here because, like I said, whenever I talk about this, we're in this lull of a plot that I'm not the biggest fan of, so I'm just waiting expectantly for us to get out of that. Do I think we're going to happen? It's going to happen in this book? I'm not sure, but I would very much like it too. So, trying to get a pretty short book on this one. Fingers crossed. And then the other one that I'm going to pick up is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This is my beautiful fairy edition I got a couple of months ago. This is a retelling inspired by the Mid-Autumn Legend, and I think it's Chinese mythology. Yes. So this follows our main character Yingling, and she's being hidden by her mother from the Celestial Emperor because I believe her mother has done something terrible and now they're in exile. And then I think she's got powers, and they become revealed, and so she has to kind of hide in disguise from the Emperor. So she ends up getting in disguise, like trading from someone, and the Emperor's son is also getting training, and so like they strike up a friendship. So I'm not sure where we're gonna go with this one. I'm not entirely sure where it's set, but I'm pretty sure it's not set in the US. So I'm excited. I've heard very good things about this book, and it got a lot of hype at the beginning of the year, and I would very much like to see if it is worth it. Plus, like, This is one of the most beautiful books I own. I'd very much like for it to be true that the inside is just as beautiful as the outside. But yes, that's the other one that I'm going to get to. I'm very excited though. I've been trying to get through some of the books that I get in subscription boxes, so I'm hoping to take another one off the list. Pick number 4. Oh, A to Z book. So the next prompt is A to Z book, which just means we're going to pull up a number or a letter generator. I've got it here on my husband's phone. Generate a letter, and then that has to be the letter that starts the title of whatever book I choose. It can have A, the, things like that in front of it, but otherwise it has to start with that letter. Okay, so here we go. Random letter is going to be W. Interesting. Okay, let's have a think. So for this one, I think I'm going to go with another manga, and we're going to do the first volume of Wataki. It says, Love is Hard for Otaku, I believe. I think this is it's been a while since I've read this, but I believe this is a office/gaming romance. And it follows Narumu, who has had a pretty rough life. She's really into a video game, and because of that, a lot of her boyfriends have left her. So she has a chance meeting at her new job with a childhood friend, who's also a big fan of this video game, and I think they start out like a pretend relationship, maybe? So yeah, it looks like there's going to be some sort of dating happening between them. I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard good things about this series, and I haven't picked up anything else. I've seen a few other volumes at like my Barnes & Noble and stuff, and I keep not picking them up because I want to see if I actually am going to like it. So we've got the first volume here. It's quite a big volume as far as volumes go, but W. So fingers crossed I like this one. Okay, and then the next letter, let me pull it up again. Okay, so another letter, let's see, the next one, can you see it okay? There we go, is going to be U. Great. Oh no. Yeah, I can't find anything on my shelves that starts with a U. So I'm looking one more time, make sure I didn't like forget. So I'm sure there's something I'm missing, but I don't see anything. So we're gonna do another letter instead, because that's a mean one. I can't find anything with that one. Okay, so we've got I. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. So, I recently got I Love You, I Hate You by Elizabeth Davis. This was a pre-order from Barnes & Noble, and it is an office romance between Victoria and Owen, who are bitter rivals in real life. I believe that they are lawyers, but online they are under the personas of Nora and Luke, who are becoming very fast friends. So, I have plans for this later in the month. So, right there. Oh, that was actually quite helpful. I'm glad I didn't find a U. Number 5. Oh, here we go. Read a cover by. Okay, the next one is to read a cover by, which you guys know I don't do a whole lot of, but there were a couple that worked for this one. The first one is one that I just recently picked up last month, and that is Never Fall for Your Fiancé by Virginia Heath. This cover grabbed my attention. It reminded me of like Regency England, Jane Austen era, and then I looked at what it was about, and it sounds really interesting. So we've got this guy named Hugh, who's the Earl of Fairharm, and he wants a wife. Unfortunately for him, his mother's determined to find one for him from across the seas, it says, so I'm wondering if she lives in America. So he decides to get her off his back by inventing a fake fiance, and then she surprises him by showing up. So he hires this woman named Minerva, who is struggling to kind of be his fake fiance, and then of course true feelings emerge, but a very fun historical romance, and I'm excited to dive in and see how that goes. But the cover is what drew me to it originally. And then the other one, this one kind of, I mean, I'm gonna say it fits, but it's the second in the From Blood and Ash series, and it's A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I thought for sure I was going to really enjoy this series, but I wasn't 100% sure. But these beautiful fairy editions are what made me pick up the entire trilogy, and I did read the first one last month and absolutely adore it, so I can't wait to dive into the second book. But it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, like, need I tell you, it's a fairy loot edition. Of course they're pretty. So yes, this is a cover buy because I'm not sure I would have invested in the entire series if I hadn't have had like the incentive of these beautiful fairy loot editions, but I think I would have gotten around to it at some point. But I did pick them up because of the covers, and I'm excited to continue with this series because, again, adored the first one. Number 6. Read a book you're scared to read. This book is a book that you're scared to read. So the first one's a little, actually both of these are a little bizarre, but the first one is Beautiful Bastards by Christina Lauren. This is the first in their trilogy. I think it's just called Beautiful Bastards trilogy or something. But this is again an office romance of sorts, and it says an ambitious intern, a perfectionist executive, and a whole lot of name calling. So I believe, again, office romance. Don't know a whole lot about it, but I've heard mixed things about the series, and I know that this is like a pretty long series, and I'm pretty sure it's one of their first like books they wrote, if I am correct. I'm sure I'm wrong. This is 2013, so I'm not entirely sure, but there's like 6 books in the series, and I did pick this one up recently because I wanted to see if it was worth it. But I love Christina Lauren, so I thought I'd give it a try, but again, nervous because I've heard mixed things about it, but I'm still excited. The next one is actually an ARC that I was very graciously gifted, and that is The Sizzle Paradox by Lily Menon. So I've read other things by this author. Actually, her entire stack is right here, but she goes under the name of Sandia Menon when she writes YA, and then Lily Menon when she writes adult, and this is her second book that she is releasing. It is a rom-com of sorts. That's just kind of her genre. She really likes writing those rom-com things. I enjoyed her debut adult book, Makeup Breakup, last year, so I'm excited to dive into this one. The reason I'm nervous about it is A, I always never make time for ARCs, and I really need to, so that's on me. And B, I believe it has to do with math and sciencey things, and I don't know if I'm gonna like that. So we'll see how this goes, but if I remember correctly, it follows our main character who's doing a like PhD or some kind of like advanced study, and she has to write a paper about like what makes couples fall in love, and she's never doesn't have luck, but she reaches out to her best friend to see if he can help her out because he always seems to have luck, and he's starting to kind of like help her out, reach out and start to like find people, and I think they start to fall for each other. So I'm excited about this ARC because, again, very graciously gifted. Thank you so much to the publisher, but nervous about the mathy elements of it. And I'm not even sure if that's true, but it feels like it's going to be very math and sciencey. So fingers crossed. Number 7. Read a book including something you'd want to do. The next one is something that you'd like, a book that includes something you'd like to do. So again, these are a little bizarre, but we're going to go with it. And the first one is Half a Soul by Olivia Altwater. So this is the first, and I believe a trilogy, that actually one of you lovely humans brought to my attention, and I picked it up immediately. But it's been marketed kind of, what if fairies lived in Jane Austen's England? And it's like for fans of Jane Austen and historical England, Regency England, that kind of thing, but put fairies and magic in. And I'm like, yes, please. I want all of that. So I'm going to say this is something that I would like to be included in because I would love to like live during that time, not for like all the women's rights and stuff, like no, but like the fashion and the like society. I just think that's fascinating. I don't want to live there, but I'd like to visit. Plus magic. So magic in historical Regency England. Yes, please. I very much would like that to happen. Just for like a day. I'd like to visit for like a day. That'd be great. And then like the other one that I'm going to pick is a new release, which is Sense and Second Degree Murder by Tirza Price. This is the second in her Jane Austen mystery series, murder mystery series. I read the first one, which is Pride and Premeditation, and absolutely adored it. So this is basically the same thing. We follow the story of Sense and Sensibility, but you add a mystery murder twist to it. So we've got our main characters, Eleanor and Marianne, and they, I think, were working at their dad's office, I believe, and yeah, he's a private investigator, and so the two of them were working there, and then he's found dead, and then the cousin who comes in to take over everything obviously doesn't want them there and kind of like kicks them out, and they're convinced that their dad didn't die of natural causes, and so they're diving in to see what's going on. I'm putting this on this list because I would love to solve a mystery. I am terrible at it. I love reading mystery books. I love watching TV shows and stuff that involve mysteries and police detectives and things like that, but I am absolute rubbish at picking up on hints. So I have ideas. Like every once in a while I'll pick up a couple of things and find the right one, but this is just, yeah. I love to solve mysteries. Wouldn't that be cool? So that's that's why. And number 8. Read a book with an LGBT plus character. And the very last prompt is going to be a book that includes an LGBTQIA plus character. The first one is going to be one of the books that I need to read by the end of the year, and that is Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli. This is her newest book that came out last year, and it follows our two main characters, Kate and Anderson, who are like best friends, and they are working in a play, and they never let anything come between them until a boy comes into town and they both have a crush on him, and I think it's going to be like a rift in their friendship. But Becky Albertalli writes a lot of good books that include LGBTQ plus characters, and I really want to get around to this one. So that's one that I'm planning on reading. And then the other one I feel might be stretching it, but that is Worthy Opponent, which is the third in the Wicked Villains series by Katie Robert. I've been reading this series with my lovely friend Taylor, who's read them all except for I think the last one, if I remember correctly, and I haven't read any of them, so we're reading them together, and this is just the next one. It follows Tink and Hook in this one, but there are people who are in these books, like there's lots of crossovers in these books from other people, and a lot of those people are part of the LGBTQ plus community. Now this is an erotic romance series, but I have enjoyed them, and I'm excited to see where this one goes. I'm not sure how prevalent the LGBTQ plus rep is going to be within this book, but there's usually something from the first two that I've read in this series. There's usually something here. So I'm going to put this on there and just hope that it works. Me again. I did want to make a quick note about this because I'm not 100% sure Worthy Opponent has the LGBTQ rep that I think it does. So if it does, great, we'll continue to read it. I have to read it this month anyway. But if it doesn't, then I'm going to substitute in another book by Katie Robert, which is Stoneheart. I'll pop it up here on the screen. I think that's what it's called. But it's like the prequel to the Dark Olympus series, which I have read the first, well, everything that's out, honestly, at this point, except for the prequel novella. This one is a female-female romance. I can't remember exactly who it follows, but I do know Medusa is one of them. So if Worthy Opponent doesn't have anything, I'll plop this one in instead. Would still love to get to it this month anyway, so I do have a backup just in case I'm all kinds of wrong about this one. And that's it. That's everything I've got on this TBR. I didn't fit a middle grade in, which is the only thing I need, but I didn't actually get around to the 4th Aru Shah last month, so I'm probably gonna read that one soon. So add that on here as well. But otherwise, that is my list of books that I'm hoping to get to this month. I was able to fit a lot of the things that I have planned for this month in, so I think we'll be okay. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned. But as always, if you've read any of the books that I mentioned, please let me know down below. And if you want to say something but you're not sure what to comment, comment like a flower, because we're very close to spring. Guys, like I'm ready. I'm ready. But if you liked this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!